I'll see if I could stop fake smiling.
Pretty sure that was on.
I don't want to. I get in trouble for fake smiling.
All right, so we're live here with Laruen Zander. She is a ball of fun. If you didn't know, you will know shortly. Laruen, thanks so much for joining here live on Facebook.
Come on. This is great. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. I'm excited to be back.
We had those of our listeners here or watchers here on Facebook. We had Laura on. Sorry, I'm doing a few things at a time here. But last time we had you on Exploring Mind and Body as a guest, so I was like, we had such a great interview, such a great conversation. I was like, let's do a Facebook Live because you're so much fun. So that's why we're here. And again, I want to thank you for being here.
Let's go. I'm in. This is awesome. Thanks for having me. And everyone who's watching, hi.
Laruen, tell our audience who you are. What do you do?
I run an executive life coaching education company. So we teach in universities, we go into corporations, and we work with individuals. And basically what we're doing is getting people to design their lives or design their companies or just design anything. Actually intervene and design.
And so designing, how do you mean? Design a life of success, business, family, all that?
Design the quality and caliber of your life from the inside, how you talk to yourself, to what you do every minute of the day, that you really are in love with your life, right? So I teach and have developed a method that lets people really dream and be accountable to what they want to be accountable to and learn how to have what I call personal integrity with whatever it is. I don't care what you're into, honestly, as long as you don't lie about it or hide it, right? So as long as you're into something, I will help you achieve those goals, figure them out, and that's kind of my favorite thing to do on earth all the time, along with my 60 employees who are also doing it like crazy.
What are the challenges from getting people to find out the direction that they want to go in life?
Most challenges happen in the mind, right? So people are born into really a life story, like born in already, right? To their culture, to their financial situation, to their parents' sex life, so people are born into a scene and a half. I have a nickname for that. I call that your goodie bag, right? Just like when you were little and you got a bag, right? You looked in that bag and you were like, ew, what is that? Right? Like, am I stuck with that? Someone's going to make me throw that little thing out. And then there's good stuff in there, right? But it's your job to figure out what to do with your goodie bag. And that's pretty much where Handel picks up, right? What'd you get? What are you dealing with? And how do we take this and make it an incredible design so that you're fulfilling on your life along with helping the planet and everybody else out to be happy?
So give me an example of what would be in a goodie bag that someone would be. Maybe why don't we start with, let's just go with finances, because that's the first thing I thought of. Someone opens up their bag.
Excellent.
And their family,
in debt. My family is in debt, buys things they don't need, and always is chasing money, and it's always what everybody's fighting about. Right? It's really not a happy subject. It's really not a smart subject. And then, the mother thinks they know how to do it better than the father. The father does it the way he does it, and it has an experience of domination. And then the kid is a girl, right? And then, doesn't know what to do, and then really just wants to escape, from this context that they raised in money makes fights, right? So then the kid figures out not to fall in love with a career, but to fall in love with how to make money, right? Goes to law school, figures out their whole life so that they could stop the fighting in their head, in their life, with their parents, and in life itself. Yeah, that's how money that happens.
That's what happens. That's happening now.
So there's family plagues, and then children are a reaction to what they grew up in, and they're either solving it, but feeling at the effect of solving it, not really dreaming about what they want to be or have in their life, but they really just feel an obligation to fix things. And then, chase that, but never end up creatively happy. So, I'm constantly intervening in someone's storyline that they don't even know they could change.
So where do you start? You say, this is your story, We need to change
No.
it. How do you change it?
I start I break life out into 12 different areas, and I ask for your dream, like your vision for for your whole life in that one area. Right? So spiritually, what do you think fulfillment in your life in the area of spirituality would be? Money, career, family, sex, love, and romance, right? So I ask for, in 12 different areas, your dreams. And what happens is everything stops and you start to have to confront the fulfillment of your life, right? And people may go, yeah, I'm always engaged in that. But that does not mean you've ever sat down and wrote down, separating out exactly what a vision for your life is. So that causes design, right? I ask you to design your life right in that moment. And then what happens is most people write the most absurd dreams, right? Like they can't stop hating and fixing and like dreaming of something just a little better than they have. Like it's not a dream. It's a reaction. It's offended. It's the drama itself, right? And so then what happens is on our first session, or as you go through the book or Inner You, which are my programs, you start to hear that you live in this fishbowl of your own language. And you've never dissected how you talk to yourself, or even don't invent bigger than what's in the fishbowl based on your parents, based on, your culture, based on, you don't even know what you think is right or wrong. You think you do. You think you know. But until you start to investigate all of it, I'd like to, wonder if you've investigated any of it versus just go along on the same ride you're on, making improvements, right? Which is very different than stop, start.
So is that like the biggest issue is we don't really address, like we don't look like this is what we can do, this is where we can make change, we just kind of accept our circumstance?
Yeah, because when you're young, right, you really are at the effect of whatever your parents think or do, right? The way they make you eat, the food they buy, from everything you eat, to how they spend money, to how they are happy with each other, to, so there's so much already given to you that you have no choice about. We end up being pretty good liars by the time we leave for college or move out of our house, right? Kids are wildly talented liars, right? And even incredibly talented at figuring out how to keep other people happy instead of themselves, right? Other people off their backs, the teachers, so by the time you walk out of into your being a grown up, you are so programmed from your family's history. It's rough. Hi, it's rough, isn't it? Like you don't know there's another life available to you and that you're not only subject to what you were born into, right? But you don't even know you were born into like you haven't figured out the language to explain where you came from so that you can invent where you want to go from that goodie bag.
Okay, I just want to mention here we've got a handful of viewers in. If you're checking out the show, if you're just tuning in, we have Laruen Zander in from Handel Group Life Coaching. Now we're going to be she was been on Exploring Mind and Body, and I wanted to bring her back on to talk about life coaching. I think there's a lot of different areas that we can discuss today in this Facebook Live. So I want to thank Laruen for being here. We have Dallas who just popped in here, and then Laruen, we had a comment from your business page here. And if you guys have comments or if you have questions for Laruen, let us know, and we'll definitely let you know. So
be nice. I'm sensitive. I may talk big, but I want everybody to like me. And I'm not that likable always, so I understand.
Laruen, we had this was from your group here. It said, find out which areas of your life you may need to work on with your free coaching tool. And then it says you can take the current reality quiz. Can you tell us about that?
So, you can imagine that I've been doing this for now 20 years, right? This girl is 48 years old, started in her early 20s in the coaching field. So we've had a lot of fun using all the work we've ever done to create great quizzes, right? To lead the witness, to be able to tell the truth about the area in your life that is hurting you the most, that you might be surprised you may go, yes, I know exactly what it is, but maybe you don't. right? Or what's number 2 or 3? So we created a reality, like find the area of your life that's most, hurting you. And we ask you a whole bunch of questions. So a current reality quiz is great. And I promise it's really interesting to go on the ride through the quiz. It's not Cosmo because that's a little sexier, but we're trying.
So what happens when this is kind of like what you talked about in the previously here, was that this is when we kind of dig deep into what areas we can improve in our life? Is that what the quiz is about?
The quiz is our way of getting you to answer the area that's hurting you the most. And then because we think that they're all connected, I think everyone knows they're all connected, right? But the way they're all connected creates a domino effect, right? If you go after the one area, obviously you're having a lame sex life because you're hating your body, right? So what's the most important thing to work on so that you end up happy quickest, right? And so you don't have to work on all 12 areas of your life. As a matter of fact, you fix the 2 ones that you're slightly avoiding, and it actually teaches you everything else in all the other areas. So that's one of the things we've been working on, like leverage for quickest way to the most bang for your buck or most change in your life.
Okay.
So you learn the most.
So Jill popped in here. She said, "Looking good, guys." Thanks, Jill. So when someone comes to you, I know generalizations are difficult because there's so many different people. Everyone has different types of issues. But if you could you pinpoint a regular question or a most frequent issue that you're addressed with? Is that too generalized?
Yeah, the most critical shift that I need to give a person is that they are not their inner dialogue. They have an inner dialogue. You are not your so people listen to the voices in their head like that is them. Like, you know how you got brown eyes, right? And you're like, I can't change my brown eyes, right? And I would go, well, you could get contact lenses. The world's a little interesting, but yes, those are your brown eyes, right? The way we relate to that inner dialogue in our head is like it's brown eyes, and it's not. Right? We have choice, we have power, we have to manage that voice in our head or the voices in our head, and I swear to bejesus, no one thinks that they can or that it's their job or that's actually control central, right? Like anything not working in your life, you should go into that voices and go right in, right? Because guess who's in charge of those voices? Oh, you're just a victim of those voices? Yeah, that's BS. Right? That's like, come on, pussycat, right? You don't leave the boogies in your nose like they're sacred up there, right? You blow them out, right?
Okay. So once we realize that we need to address, we can make changes in our life, it's time to take action. What can we do? Or is there any action steps that we can to change that?
Lord knows for the 20 years I've been developing, like literally engineering tools to make us so much smarter, give us language so that I am teaching you to fish. Not, you know what I mean? Right? Like, here's a pole. Here's where the river is. This is how this works out. Right? So the river is dreaming. Right? Like that's what you want to be working on first and foremost. The reason we really don't dream is because then you understand if someone commits to wanting to run the marathon, that gets them out of bed every morning. Like that tells you exactly what you have to do. So if we never dream, then we never have to commit. If we never chase down that voice in our head that we have power to really change, right? And you're this person going, I would never run a marathon. And I'm like, but would you be rocked if you did? And you're like, wow, that's a really interesting gap. Like what would happen if I was the person that actually did that? Like what would happen in my whole life? Right? So that's kind of where we begin, right? Like human ability to change is so much easier, except you'd have to break into those voices in your head. And so the Handel method is a step-by-step process leading you to taking over designing your life and your actions, so that you actually get what you want versus just keep proving the world is the way it is and you're stuck in it the way you are.
And you think it's scary or too challenging for people? Like, why don't they take action? Like for us in the fitness world, goals are loosely used and probably improperly for the most part, but so
Yeah.
many people are afraid to set something out to go and achieve because there's the failure. Is that,
Yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
that similar to what you're...
Can you hear, so, the 7 deadly sins, right? Laziness, like a type of don't believe in yourself, right? And then punish yourself because, like feel terrible about it, like self-loathing comes in, like as if that is a fair compensation. Like I don't do what I wish I would do, and then I hate myself. And my little voice in my head is so mean. So as if that's a balance of I'm intelligent, I understand something's wrong with me, but I can't change. So you don't get that you're the victim and the perp in that head of yours, right? And so that's where I go to work, right? But does that sound easy? The truth is that it's actually easy. That do you want to give up? Do you want to get out of bed? Do you understand? There's some vice cooking. Right? Like there's some crack cooking in the back, right? That if you go for a run, you're not sleeping in bed. If you sleep with your wife, for 4 nights a week, right? That's like a lot of attention and love. And like, that's like a lot of commitment over there. It may just take 25 minutes, right? But for some reason, that level of intimacy and vulnerability is like, if it is the opposite of what we're looking for. So we're not, and I call all of that, like that whole section of why we don't do things, the dark side.
You got me speechless here. Why is that? So why is that the dark side? Because we don't want to go over there and we don't want to put in that effort to change our circumstances?
Let's see. Would you rather eat an apple or a cookie? Right? Would you rather watch Netflix or go for a run or sleep with your wife? Like, right? So they're all of a sudden, when you start to ask the human what it would rather do, what it would rather do, right? It's a little upsetting when our answer is lazy, cookie, snooze, don't ask for the promotion, don't go to don't do what it takes to blow yourself away and be proud of yourself. Do the least amount you have to do to get away with being okay with yourself. Now, that's not everybody. There are real overachievers, right? But then there's real areas in their life that they leave for dead, right? And so it's only for the areas that you're underachieving and you're telling a really interesting, sad story or no story at all, right? You're just like, I'm not good at that, right? I'm not good at intimacy.
And I think that story, like you mentioned earlier from childhood, I think those stories, they come from childhood, right? Like,
yes,
we've heard that from an early age. It could be from a parent. It could be from a mentor. Like, I'm not good in math. That's something that I say to myself, but then I don't go and do something about it. I go take a math class. Like, I could probably benefit from a grade 4 math class.
Yeah.
But that's a story we continually repeat, whether it's I'm overweight,
yes,
I'm lazy.
And then the thing you have to realize is is your relationship to being lame, a little lame at math, connected all to your ability to feel prowess with money, right? Is math money? Because so then you would just make sure it wasn't one area wasn't screwing with another.
Right.
Right.
And would they be would most areas be connected somewhere else? I would imagine.
It's such a bummer. Yes. 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 Connect the dots. You are a bunch of dots. Okay.
All connected.
And they are truly all connected, which is brilliant, right? Which is if you clear up one thing, it changes everything, right? So there's a lot of leverage in that. But if you don't clear it up, it poisons everything, right?
And then that just continues to weigh you down in different areas of your life, which is an issue if you want to improve or achieve at a different level.
Completely. Right. So we are an ecosystem of all these areas of our lives. And the way we relate to one of them impacts all of them. Right? Of course it does.
I just want to pull a comment over here. Jill had a question. She said, are there areas of life we should look at first, or does it matter?
Oh, you know your pain, but it's usually in money, career, love, body, family, right? And then, you know,
is that any kind of order, or is that just randomly issues that we all deal with at some level?
There really are the top ones that are making a person unhappy, right? And it's their body, it's their love life, or it's their career and finances, right? Like those are the most important areas that we measure ourselves by happiness. Family's right there, but many people can live with lame relationships, friendships. Like if you start to really wonder about the quality of a great life, a person doesn't even realize that they are lonely because they don't have enough friends and they don't know how to make like really great relationships, right? So there's many ways that a person would throw an area off, like, I don't seem to care about that, but they don't realize how much leverage they have if they got 2 new friends, that it would change their happiness level and their dating, right? So people don't understand how much they're all connected and can feed each other. But there usually are the 4 that people come for coaching for.
Okay, so when we let's look at relationships here specifically, and you've mentioned relationships with your spouse, friendship. I think I just had this conversation the other day. Sometimes it feels like you have to always reach out to your friend, for example. Like maybe you're always reaching out to your friend or friends, or you never hear from them. I think I also think it's very challenging to continue to make new relationships and build friends. Like we have friends that maybe they're more acquaintances now, but friends that we grew up with or friends that we've always had, but going out to make new friends or developing new relationships. Why is that a challenge, and what can we do about it?
Well, first of all, we don't admit straight. Like, hi, I am looking for making new, better relationships and friendships. Are you like packed with friends and don't need any new ones? Or do you actually want some friends too? Like, where are you at with your community? Right?
Like, seriously, like that's what you would say to express to someone?
I literally met a man on a plane who is an awesome man like we got stuck getting off the plane and on 8 hours. We got stuck together and I'm like, oh my God, you are so interesting. You built an amazing business. I'm a nosy. I'll ask, right? I am nosy. And if I like you, I'm going to keep you. Right. Right. So, how do you feel about that? And do you have enough, like, where are you at? Like, leave you alone? Or I'm totally interested in what you do too.
But would they tell you? Would they be
honest
with you?
We have a breakfast date this coming week. You know, met 2 weeks ago, have a breakfast date this coming week because it was profound, right? And we had who gets 8 hours with someone to get to know them because you got locked in an airport, right? So I turned it into the best time and great business future. Like it was amazing, right? But we really know each other now, right? I love the guy, right? I'm keeping him, right? But I ask straight and I want to be able, and I also, want someone to look me straight in the eye, and tell me the truth. And I can tell in a second if you're willing to. So if you hear that, it's very intimate, very vulnerable, and very one-to-one, right? Like I'm me, I'm not playing any games, and I call you into the same relationship with me, right? And most people will not be that vulnerable and honest ever when it comes to sex, when it comes to a job, when it comes to anything. Right? But that's where the secret sauce of leaders comes from, right? Like the leader is the one who will be as straight as they can in the moment.
And how do you expect that in return? You just open yourself up, be vulnerable, and hope that you get that in return.
I think I get away with a lot because I'm a little cute and use my cute and fun and right, like a little sugar with my hammer. A little sugar with my hammer. It's a very smooth handle, right? Oh, I even made a handle joke. Okay, so terrible. But so I get away with, I call it, when I teach it in the Handel method, I teach it that in every good sentence, there's grace. Would you please? And then the command part, like the wisdom part, pass me the salt, right? So I'm looking for friends. Like, oh my God, you look great. How's your life? How are your relationships? Are you looking for more friends? Are you looking for a wife? What are you looking for? Right? I have girlfriends. I have that. Right? So people don't share their community, walk in and open their life up. right? And in the new reality I would invent for humanity, that would be 101 because it's actually what everybody's interested in.
And you don't think that approach would be too forward for some people?
you, you think I'm being a little New York for people?
I love New York, but New Yorkers are a bit,
Yes.
You know what the thing is about, I've always had, we go there every year. I love New York. And, and I think New Yorkers get a bad reputation for being, I would say from the outside, I would say rude or abrupt. But
don't forget aggressive.
Aggressive is probably all put together with rude and abrupt. But I really like New Yorkers because when you go there and you have a question, they'll tell you the question. If they want to express something to you, they're going to express it to you, and they don't up here in Canada we're super nice, probably way too nice. But I enjoy the attitude, and I think it's just misconceived that people in New York are rude, but they're just telling you straight, like that they're just going to tell you, and I love that.
You know how there's like the opposite zodiac signs? I think New York and Canada are opposite zodiac signs. Like, wow, we could not be more different because you have an obligation to be kind and generous and nice no matter what, right? And New Yorkers have a job to be honest and brutally accountable. Like, I know the answer. It doesn't even matter if I've ever heard the subject before, right? So it's like the funny opposites. Yes.
So think of Canada for example. Like, would they like, or someone that has that story, like your story, New Yorkers, that story, that upbringing is forward. That's our way of life. And then you have a more passive way of life. I would never teach passive, right? So I would go, if you want a more passive appreciation for life, right? That's way more Buddhist than I'm teaching. Okay. So it's just a different mindset or a different process to how you go about going what you're looking for.
I am teaching people to accomplish as much as they want in this life before they die. And that list of dreams and desires is what we're here for, and being able to get it in the way you want to get it, not in Lauren's version, but in your version, really takes design and a willingness to chase and tell the truth.
Above all else, tell the truth.
Right. Am I accusing a level of niceness? So I think there is a level of kindness and niceness that can't tell the truth. Right? So you meet someone, watch this, okay? David and I, my cute husband and I, went shopping for chairs on Craigslist. I don't know if you know what that is, but we went shopping for chairs at Craigslist. And we end up at these people's houses, and we drive up their house, and it's like an amazing 1700s, really well done. Like, this is exactly what we think is so cool, right? Like, we want in the house, right? We're just like, oh, right? So we pull up, but we're just coming for the chairs, right? And then we see the couple, right? And we're in the middle of driving a Prius. They have a Prius. And my husband and him have the same exact glasses on. And the woman comes like, they look alike, right? And the woman comes bopping down, right, with like big bouquet of flowers to come say hello to us, right? Just because she was picking in her garden. And I was like, David, can we keep them? Right? I like make a joke right there, right? They're stunning filmmakers, nominated for won Sundance, right, for their documentaries. I mean, they are the coolest. Like, I literally didn't care about the chairs, and we have been friends now for 7 years. And I literally went home and sent them an email like, I know this is really strange, but you guys are amazing, and it's not so easy to find amazing people that I'm blown away by that I would want to know. Just as friends. Want to do dinner? Right? Guess what? They were like, I can't believe you wrote this. This is so amazing. We were like, we loved you too, and please come on. And then that was it. Right? So if I think those moments are risks that everyone should be taking. Ready? Ready, everyone? Every day. This world is amazing if you know your dreams and what you're looking for in each of your categories. That's in friendship for me. I believe in curating and meeting the greatest people on earth and giving to each other and sharing. I have a party twice a year where I bring everyone who should meet each other.
And they're
people
going to meet each other.
No. They show up because they can't believe how well I curate. Right? I swear you want to, because they're all open, they're all sharing, and they're all doing amazing things on the planet, right? Like, what are you doing? This is what I'm doing, right? And there isn't a slouch in the room, and it's not like sleazy at all. It's like, wow. It's a bunch of bleeding hearts.
So, yeah, I think that I had that experience as well. My partner and I, we had found I think sometimes it's hard to find a very similar couple to yourselves or people that really get you. And we had this conversation with them after we left. Like we met a couple times and then we left. We had a conversation like, wow, those guys are great. We love spending time with them. And then we told them, and they said, we had the exact same conversation when you left. And we're great. Exactly. We're great friends now. So I think that being open and honest really makes a big difference.
But here's what I hear when you say that, right? You just spoke the unsaid or the real vulnerable part where you could have felt embarrassed or rejected or they did. Like, it's that part that's going on in your head that I think changes your life, right? I think that, like, wanting those things, being vulnerable like that, telling your boss, like, are you okay with me? I really wish you would tell me more about what you do. Like, the unsaid that's in our minds is actually one of the most valuable resources to figure out our truth and to forward our lives. But all of that happens because you start to study your own inner dialogue and you can tell the caca, stay in bed, he hates you, no one right, like you can tell crazy voice from insights and an important voice, right? So that's what we do at Handel is we get you to break into the mainframe and start to understand what forwards your life and what's the caca.
I had a great question here. Katie just popped in here and she said, how do you approach or confront someone who is passive with life? Great question, Katie. I'm interested as well. Coming from where we're at, much different approach. What would you say?
I think as long as a person is happy as who they are, like actually, like, are you happy with never saying it? Because are you happy with never saying anything? Are you happy with adjusting to everyone as the way they are and you adjust, right? So a person who is passive is accommodating to the way it is versus wants to be a change agent and impact and engage, right? And if that person's happy, like, I respect my own values. I'm not complaining. I'm not wishing it was different. I'm not superior in my head to the way I'm passive, right? So someone who's passive thinks they have no power, but gossips, right? That person's different, right? I hate my mother. She never blah, blah, blahs, right? But hi, mom, right? So I stay, right? Like I'm two-faced. So if a person that's passive is not two-faced and they actually like themselves, bravo, right? Sweet Canadians are not always passive-aggressive, okay? They really are just sweet, right? And they believe it, and they appreciate that as a value, right? But if the person just took their seat or cut in front of them at the bathroom line, right? If they're in their head going, I hate New Yorkers, right? But the person was like, I have to go so bad, can I go? And you said yes, and in your head you're like, I had to go really badly too, right? So it depends on the culture it's making in that head of that person. I hope that answered that question.
Linda popped in here and she said, yes, take risks every day.
Yeah, exactly. But passive is only okay if you love it, if it's a Buddhist principle. If
that's you, like if that's your story. Otherwise,
if you don't have gossip going on in your head that you're resentful, it's not fair, the world is, if you're complaining about it, then you really are being a fake.
Well, I want to talk about, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but we have quite a few viewers in here, and I thought it would go less closer to 9. So thank you guys for tuning in here, even if you should be at work or if you are at work. We have Laruen Zander on from Handel Group Life Coaching. Lauren joined me on nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. We had a great conversation, and I asked her to come and do a Facebook Live with me. And Lauren is always full of energy and expertise, at least from what I see.
Yes, I think the world is safe to say those. I am this at all times.
There's no off switch. It's just the way it is.
No, I go to sleep. There's an off switch.
Lauren, tell me about. Oh wait, do we have something else here? No, I thought.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Katie said yes, thank you. Just before we change subjects here.
Excellent.
She said thank you. I've never thought about it that way.
Yes.
I want to talk about finances. We did touch on it briefly here, but I feel like when we talk about life coaching, it's pretty challenging to get through day-to-day life if you have those troubling thoughts, or if you're in a struggling place like credit cards. Cards, we're maxed out with our credit cards. We don't have anything in the bank. We don't have any savings. What's our story? What's going on?
Okay. So there really is a plan to get out of debt, and everyone is capable of having a plan to get out of debt. And the credit card company, there's agencies that are like, this is not something that hasn't been done before. Getting into debt has been done before, and getting out of debt has been done before, right? So first you have to really raise your hand and go, I want out. And it's no different than if you go, I want to lose weight. Right? So there's a deficit, right? Like there really is, I'm sorry, you're going to be on a pretty strict diet. Like when's the next cookie? Like when's the next shopping spree? Right? You've had all of yours for the last 2 years. Now you're going to pay it back, right? You're going to manage, all your spending, and you're going to find out that it's much easier to spend than it is to save. I'm sorry. It's much easier to gain weight than it is to lose weight. Much quicker, too, right? So I cannot make the world fair, right? I can just tell you the exchange rate, right? So, c'est la vie, right? So then what happens is there really is a plan to get out of debt. And there really is the job you need, the money you can't spend anymore, what you will be spending because you have no choice. There's how to Airbnb your place. There are so many interesting ways to be smart about money. And either you're starting to learn them all and go there, or you're not. And you're either proud of yourself or you're not. Right? And that's it, right? You're either losing weight today or you're not. You're either saving money or spending too much money today or you're not. Okay? So most people talk up a big game, like I wish I could lose weight. I wish I could get out of debt. But they're not really noticing they just bought 3 movies on Netflix. Oh, wait a minute. You have Netflix? I'm sorry. Get off of it. Right? Like every dollar counts. Every calorie. Sorry, I'm not a calorie counter, but every moment has integrity in it. And you're either having it and building respect for yourself or you're not.
And what about this? What about the story earlier when we kind of first got on here? There's a story that we have. Usually comes from childhood in some way. I don't always want to be like it's your parents' fault. I think we need to take accountability for ourselves. But there's usually a story.
Let me just say something about that.
Sure.
Okay. That you came from your parents, and that you're an apple off that tree, will never change. So what you got from your parents doesn't mean what's possible for you is limited at all, right? It's going to be the evolution of your parents, right? So you go, Steve Jobs did quite an evolution on being adopted, right? Larry, who just died from Burning Man, was adopted. Right? It's like, gosh, they really rocked feeling abandoned and then having big people know who they were. Right? The whole world will never forget about Steve Jobs, right? Right? You know, and I promise at the core of his goodie bag is being abandoned, right? Not being loved. How loved is he? Right? So, do you understand? So like the mystery of evolution and, you know, even Oprah, right? Like came from nothing. Now is the richest woman in the world, right? So it's like, why, you know, so we get to study that, which is we really have yin yang, pretty down here. And so when you figure out what's in your goodie bag, you can yin yang yourself. Anything dark turns light. Okay? And so that's really the whole premise. So it's know your parents, know the dark side, know everything that comes with it so that you can use it powerfully.
So when it comes to finances in particular, so we come from, maybe we didn't come from much, or maybe our parents were always paying bills, or maybe our longest memory or youngest memory was our parents looking at bills and trying to figure out how to pay them. So
in my case, nobody shoot me, okay? I came from a very successful father. My mother never worked a day in her life. Notice I work every second of my life. Okay. So that's an evolution of women for me, and I'm very proud of it. My mother's very proud of it. But if you go, how much money did my father ever make in his life? He did very well, but he was never like out of the box. He was a lawyer who ran a law firm, very proud of himself, worked hard, right? And if you look at my business, you go, oh, it's a bit of a firm, isn't it? It's like, right? So for me to go into a much bigger stratosphere past where my father went would be a miracle, but I have a ceiling that comes from my own family too, right? So there's good things that you got from your family, and then there's good things that you want to break out of, right? So it's all there for you to interpret and invent and create your life with. Design with.
Right, so it's not always look at my goodie bag and can I return this and get a new one?
No. And then the fun in there is you go, my father may have been a cheater, but not mine. Yeah, well, maybe. Anyway, that's all. Cut the subject. Right, a little. Okay, but if you go, right, my father was charismatic, and that has good and bad to it. Right, you can take that charisma and go, I need more of that, right? So the goodie bag is not being used efficiently and fully, right? Because people don't even connect the dots back to the goodie bag fully in a way that has them use it.
So, okay, I just want to take a step back here in talking about stories, and maybe we can address, so I want to talk about like, when we have like credit card debt, I feel like that's a big one. When we have, I just feel like a lot of times people say, well, I wish I could do that, but I don't have the money for it. Is there a specific story that they've told themselves over the years that they haven't broken out or they can't, that says, don't have any money?
Whatever's going on in that head of yours, it's rinse and repeating. Whatever it's rinsing and repeating, it's proving out in your daily actions. So that's how the wiring works, right? You're repeating things in your mind, and then your actions are consistent with whatever's repeating in your mind. So if you want to break into that circuit, you would break into the inner dialogue, get that it's repeating, and that it's connected to the actions you're taking or not taking. So if that's the wiring, then you would go, what should I be saying and what actions should I be taking if I'm going to get out of debt? Right? You literally lift the same model and you create it into a design that's worth having. It's no different in food. It's no different in career. It's no different anywhere. Right? There's the inner dialogue. You're limited by your inner dialogue, or you're advancing because of your inner dialogue. Right? I know people with people who are wildly successful, right, have an amazing inner dialogue about themselves. Okay? It works. This system works, but to think that you have to have the audacity, or the word I really like lately is gumption, that you have the gumption to take over the narrative and to take the right actions. Right? I remember a very good client went bankrupt, and he was used to spending lots of money on his great life, and then ended up bankrupt, and we were now managing, building a new business, everything, right? And so what he discovered was he doesn't get to take his vacations anymore, right? And then what he discovered was, I literally was like, his name was Nathan. Nathan, go figure out how to get vacations for nothing. Go figure it out, right? He literally turned it into a business over time. Right? How to do points, it invented his new life because he went in that direction, and he started taking vacations on points and figuring out a world that existed of freebies.
So he was able to turn that around, turn his
Yes.
negatives
All,
into a positive.
like, he did not take vacations. He stopped spending money on vacations.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's those actions, like it's those thoughts that have come into our mind, and then it's the actions we take from the thoughts. So as we know, thoughts become things. So as you have those thoughts in your mind, like I don't have any money, when you do get money, you go and spend it right away. So you keep telling yourself the same thing. I don't have any money. Right?
It's worth dissecting and investigating to understand that you have choice, and that the odds, if you're unhappy in an area, you're not using the power of choice. Bet your last buck.
All right, Lauren, I'm going to drag this over one more time. I want to talk about your quiz. We have a link here. It's also in the comments below. So, Lauren, explain this one more time for us, for our listeners that are just tuning in. You have a quiz that's a free life coaching tool that they can sign up for or be a part of?
They could just go so we want you to sign up for our newsletter. I am writing new content all the time, and I swear it's not, like, we are using our blog. So one, we want you to sign up for the blog, but the current reality quiz is like the fun, if you're a chick, sorry if you're a guy, but like we love taking quizzes. Like, who am I? What are you going to tell me if I add this all up? Like, what's the truth about me? Right? So go take the quiz. We have developed a fun, great quiz, and hopefully it will surprise you and delight you and teach you something new about yourself. And it's all about assessing your current reality and the area that we recommend you work on first. So that's fun. It should be fun. Let us know. If you don't like it, we actually take very good advice and we'll fix it. But we've been doing this quiz for a while and people love it. So go take the quiz.
Okay, it's just in the comments below here on Facebook Live. Lauren, tell us about, is there a different part of your website, or do you have anything else you want to share for our listeners that want more?
I think our best product that is stupid affordable is called Inner You. It's 10 sessions. It took me 3 years to record these 10 sessions, like hour-long sessions, which is my first session all the way through to my 10th session, along with the homework. And it's on a digital platform where you can meet people on the community. And then we literally have a coach that's there every week who's willing to give free, like, what do you want to know? How can I help you? And it's one of our top coaches who loves Inner You. So you would meet Alyssa, you would go, like, I'm telling you, I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. Go sign up for Inner You, and you will love it. Meet people, schmooze, socialize, and get on with life in the method.
And where
or buy the book. Inner You is on the website, handelgroup.com. So I think if you get to the quiz, you'll get to everything. I hope.
Okay, awesome. Do you know Kevin Hoffman? I don't know if he's just having fun here. He said, how do you save 15% on car insurance? Isn't that like Geico?
I use Geico.
You use Geico?
I use Geico.
I don't know what their catchphrase is. Their commercials are pretty funny.
Exactly. They're like interesting truth tellers who then shock people and then be like, and we're really good at this too.
Lauren, I want to let you go so you have time to go run this morning.
Oh, I'm definitely going running today. We already know that. We already know. What time is it? I'll let you know. Hold on.
It'll be 11.
We are not going running. It's not. My promise is 30 minutes, and so I don't get to. It would be 20 if I went now.
Okay, sorry about that.
No. This was well worth it, and you can, given I teach promises and consequences, you can bet I will run today.
All right. We'll look forward to hearing how your run goes.
Thank you.
Lauren, that was so much fun. It was a blast. You're always a pleasure. So thank you so much for coming on.
Bring me back. Go Canada.
You're always welcome back.
Thank you.
Have a good day, Lauren.
Bye.